a lot of people just grow up not having that kind of um I don't know. Yeah, they don't have the, like you said, you have a deep, like a meaningful conversation, or you don't have a conversation at all. Most people I've met are somewhere like in the middle, where it's they want to talk, but they don't want to get into anything. So it's just
Yeah.
all top layer fuzzy
Yeah,
nonsense. Um,
but I think most of these things you have to kind of have processed in your own brain if you want to talk about it. Like in your moments of, I don't know, when you're alone or when you're doing some stuff, you need to have these conversations with yourself, and then when you meet someone else, you kind of mix. Like you just go,
exactly.
okay, what have you figured out, and what have I figured out, and can we learn something from each other? It's kind of like the discourse.
Yeah.
You get something from them, you get something to them. But if you don't think about it yourself, then really there's no point in, or you don't even feel the need to have that conversation with someone, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I don't think there's anything to gain from having these thoughts. Maybe it's a distraction, who knows? But I'm
Mm.
just like a wanderer. Like I just think about these things all the time, and
I'm
because I
so
mean,
happy you
it's
said
the
that, because sorry to cut you off, but like an observation that I've made is that people are not alone enough.
yeah.
Literally, nobody here I know wants to be alone. Nobody wants to just be home, take a day off, be with themselves, their own thoughts. Nobody wants that. It's almost like people are desperate to get out and just kind of cloud their vision with other people and experiences, and nobody really wants to be by themselves. Like I know a lot of people that have real problems, but they
Mhm.
don't want to think about them, and their only way to cope with them is kind of distracting themselves with maybe having somebody over, as an example. Like there's people
Mhm.
in my personal life that where I'm like, dude, you need to get your shit together. Like I'm not coming over to waste time, but it's
Mhm.
really, people are desperate to do that. um yeah, man,
Yeah, but I
people are
mean,
not alone enough.
but isn't everything really, like everything we've set up, everything, I don't want to again just drag it into deep waters, but everything is, it's pretty much accepted as a distraction, right? Like everything we do is a distraction.
Sure.
The only real questions are the questions we don't really talk about or ask ourselves, like, why we do these things, how are you supposed to live, like how do you feel happy, just holistic sort of things that you're actually supposed to know the answers to. We don't, and it's so difficult, and we don't really know how to find those answers.
Mm.
So, and we kind of chase convenience, and just society just moves on with or without you. So everything you can argue is a distraction, right? So
That's true, yeah.
if
Mm.
you're living in a world of if you've signed that contract and you've said, I'm going to participate in this world where distractions are the norm, then why bother even involving yourself with the actual reality of things? You know what I
Mm.
mean? It's almost
Yeah.
kind of, you're taking away from the game.
Yeah, but it's just strange to think that people are happily just in limbo. They're just stuck in this world of um, no introspection, or no real, like,
Yeah.
looking within themselves and thinking about what's happening or why it's happening. It's just, you go from one night at you go to work, and then you have a night out, you go to the pub, you watch a band or whatever, and then rinse and repeat. You go home, you go to bed, you talk to everybody around you, like, till then. But it's just, again, nothing wrong with that, but it becomes difficult. Like I said, for me personally, it was really difficult to
Mhm.
interact with people in the beginning, because I didn't do that. For like, I'm alone a lot of the time. So when I go out and when I'm like, it was a shock. Like, it was quite shocking, to me, to kind of try and interact with people at the surface level, where you can't really do anything. Like,
Yeah.
I'm talking to somebody and I see them, like, a minute into a conversation, they lose interest. It's like, ooh, do you want to order something else? You know what I mean? Like,
Like distraction immediately. Let's
yeah,
go. Let's go.
it's
Let's just
so,
jump
yeah,
in.
it was so crazy. But now I have that, like, it's a switch. I need to switch to superficial
Yeah,
mode, easy mode,
but
when I go out.
I almost feel obligated. I almost feel obligated when I meet someone. Maybe
Mm.
it's not the healthiest way to handle it, but I almost feel obligated to kind of expose myself immediately. If, like when I meet someone for the first
Mm,
time, I just want to make my personality as evident as possible, and kind of just say how, just portray how nuanced I am,
mm,
so that they get an idea. So I'm not. I'm kind of. I'm just saying disclaimer. You know, it's I'm
right.
not trying to. This is what you're going to get for the most part. So
Yeah.
I don't want to have anything to do with being fake or superficial in any way. And but sometimes, I mean, there's a time and place, right? So you have to kind of reel that back as well, because you have kind of agreed to the terms of engagement in this game that we play.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
another thought that kind of triggered just now, maybe I don't know, you can help me with this, is, for example, if you think of the life that we live as a game, right? We've kind of knowingly or unknowingly signed the rules of engagement. We know the game. We know like how the 9 to 5s and the money and the everything, you know, like
Mm,
a lot of the things, or most of the things that people assign value to. I mean, it's valuable as a currency within the game, right? Like an in-game
yeah.
thing. But really it doesn't matter, because the real things that matter, as we all know, are like, you know, the joy that you have, the family relationships,
Mm,
your, I don't know, love, and all these things, these innate human values and emotions.
mm,
But we've sort of signed the rules of engagement to play this game for most of our life, which is fine, because we have to occupy ourselves doing something, we have to contribute to the society that we've created, blah blah blah. But okay, let's say, most, like you said, most people kind of engage themselves with the stats on the game. For example,
right.
if this is the game that we play, we go for the in-game currency, we go for the skill points for different things, blah blah blah, right? And let's say there's two players. One of them, they're totally focused on the in-game stats, and they're playing. They never log out of the game. They never kind of just get better as a person or whatever. They just play the game, right? So of course it's going to help. You're going to do better in the game. But what if there's another player that logs out of the game and just gets better as a person? So the player gets better and then they come back to the game. Do you think that helps the game or no?
Mm,
Because I that's how I see it. The introspection.
right.
I feel like
Mm.
it's like looking out of the game and going and kind of strengthening your foundation and getting better as the player, so that when you come back to the game, you can, I don't know, find maybe better ways to solve things, or I don't know, just better ways to handle quests and all these things. You know,
Right.
maybe I'm taking the analogy too far, but I feel like it's similar in some way.
No, no,
Some
it
way.
makes total sense. I think so. I think, yeah, like conceptually, I think there are skills that would probably translate. Um, but yeah, no, that's a good question. Um,
Yeah, but sometimes like I find myself kind of having logged out for too long as well, because I lose interest in the game.
correct.
So I'm like, you know, it's, I mean, it's more important to kind of develop as a person and to sort of figure out who you are and grow, but then it doesn't sometimes translate immediately to the game unless you play the game.
Yeah, it may or may not. Like, because some people, like, I don't think they would ever get better at the game just by be like logging off and kind of developing as people outside of it. And for some it might. Like, I think just the fact that the game is secondary to like just existing, I think it doesn't matter, right? But I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know. I
but
don't. I don't know if it would
but
make somebody.
why do you do it? Why do you introspect? Like, is it just because you can't help it, or do you feel like it helps you in some way?
For the most part, I think it's because I can't help it.
Like
But
your mind just does it.
sure. But I think over the past couple of years, it's been more intentional, where because I see benefit from it as a person, as a human being, I understand things, and I think there's intent. There's some intent behind, like there's a bigger intention behind any of the in-game things that I do. Um, so I want to play the game with intent, not necessarily by the set rules of, not rules, or but like guidelines by which people would play the game. Like I wouldn't watch a walkthrough and try to emulate that. um
Right,
it's kind of like,
right.
Yeah, so people are like, you do the thing to get here, you do this quest and you get the XP points, and then you can go to this place, you know? Um,
Yeah.
but maybe don't really want to do that yet. Um, I'm having fun doing this other side thing,
Yeah.
which,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it's I don't want to, I don't care about my level. There's a level 100
Yeah.
player who's like has the best armor or whatever, um, and I'm just cutting grass because it's enjoyable.
Yeah. That's so funny you
Chopping up
say that,
some
because
wood.
I was like, I was talking to some like when people ask me what I'm doing, or when we kind of like get together and discuss, I literally how I see it is like I tell them I'm doing side quests. That's what I tell them
Right.
right now, because you kind of once you graduate university and you have you're in the real world where there's no structure, you have to kind of figure it out.
Hmm.
And you think there's structure, there's like pseudo structure, there's like something set up, but then I told you in my case the visa thing happened and I had to
Right.
kind of figure it out, right?
Yeah.
So that I was suddenly given a lot of options. I could have, I don't know, gone back to India. I could have, I don't know, like look for something in Germany, or I could have, there's anyway, there were like a huge array of options I could have picked from. There was none that were obviously better than the other or
Hmm.
whatever, and there was no guarantees either. So if I could pursue one and then I could fail, and then it would have been painfully evident that the other option would have been a smarter choice. So you kind of suffer the consequences of your actions, and you don't have a clear structure of what you could do,
Right.
so then you're kind of left to your own devices, and you have to just pick the side quest that you want to do, basically.
Hmm.
And you can kind of stay in limbo for as long as you want. You can choose to follow the quest when you like to,
Right.
and you can kind of like sit on the sidelines for a while if you want and have some other goals you want to accomplish.
Hmm.
But the problem is the ticker, right? The time. You
Yeah.
can't, if you had like hundreds of years to live, then more people would be kind of sidelined and doing
Correct.
some other stuff and coming back
Hmm.
in.
Hmm.
But you're kind of on the clock, and you have to sort of finish the quest before or you feel obligated to anyway.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's true.